There's a warmth that you just find in Michael, and you get to know this superlative human being. He's filled with a wealth of knowledge. Legally, he's just amazing, and he gives wonderful counsel, which I guess is good for a lawyer.
My mother brought me to the JCC when I think I was 3. It was on Genesee Street, is my memory. And she always used to tell the story about there she'd be sitting with a number of other mothers with their babies, and she'd be just sitting there quietly and watching me. And she felt like it was home. Very home feeling. A place where that it was warm, that you could interact with people. And she just enjoyed being around people. And it was an environment that you could prosper in, that you could feel safe and happy in. You know, I had a grandchild come here. Max was in early childhood, and then he was at the day school here. I had kids who came here and grew up in the JCC. And despite their changes in growth and travel, they took a heck of a lot out of it. You know, it's just, they all gained so much from here. Playing in the pool, playing outside, the Purim Carnival. This has been a family. And my mom died when she was 96. And a lot of people from the JCC came to the funeral. I was just so happy by that. And she would have been pleased by it. And, you know, I just know the staff here was always wonderful. I had a couple of maintenance guys come up to me a year after she died, and I was just walking out of the gym, and they said, she was just so nice to us. She cared about this place from every employee to every member. And I think that's what we have to care about this place and nurture it. When I'm not here for a month or two or something happens, and I walk into a class, people ask me, well, we've been asking about you. Are you all right? What's going on? It's a family. And this whole, I believe, Jewish community is a family. Anti-Semitism makes you stronger. Just absolutely makes you stronger. I was the only Jewish kid in my class in school in Syracuse. I went to Henninger High School. I grew up in the neighborhoods around Henninger, but I was the only Jewish kid. So from a very early age, people, you know, would always the issue, you're Jewish, what does that mean? What are you doing? Why are you Jewish? Why are you? And it made you stronger. Makes you believe in yourself. Makes you have faith. I went through the 6-Day War. I went through all those. I was in college and law school when all those incidents occurred, where you really were worried about, was Israel going to survive? You know, and it made you think about who you are. We have to stick with it. We've gone through so much. And it's just believing we have hope, we have faith, and you just expect the best to ultimately occur. And all I see is we're growing. And we are growing as a community in doing the simple things. It is so hard to draw people across all the generations to a facility. And I think that's what we're really more and more accomplishing. And I think that's what we have to continue to accomplish, because we have generations after us that have to feel the same way as I do, that this is kind of a home. We provide a centralized home for all the Jews in the community. And that's why we need it. It is a place where everybody can come together. I'm just proud that I could serve. Really, there's nothing except the fact I gained friends, got to know people, enjoyed being around people, trying to help the community. I don't think I ever did anything major or important except just to be there. And I think just longevity helps. We have a lot of challenges in the JCC right now, but what I've seen over my longevity is the fact that people donate, interests have just so spread. They're into everything. And sometimes they forget a little bit where they came from, the JCC, and that we need their support, we need their help, we need their membership, we need their involvement.
Phil Rubenstein is receiving the Kovod Gadol Award after 3 years of a presidency that has just been phenomenal. Phenomenal for me to work with. Phil is an even-keeled individual. He just makes up his mind, thoroughly tries to understand the situation, and then moves on with a decision. And that is a very balanced human being. Phil's quiet. He's a quiet individual and doesn't get upset over things, doesn't come at things like with a lot of volume to them, is very even in his decision making and very measured. That's the word for Phil Rubenstein. He's a measured leader. He measures what he says and he thinks it out. And then at the end is this fabulous product. That's the decision, or how to go forward, or what are we going to do with this issue, with this problem? How do we handle this? He has been a wonderful partner, and I so appreciate Phil as a partner, because your president needs to be your partner. And thank you, Phil. Thank you for everything you've given this JCC and the greater community.
It's an absolute honor to be receiving this award today. And more than anything, I feel a little embarrassed. For me, it's not about awards. It's not about recognition. When you get an annual report and see a line in there under donations that says anonymous, that's where I like to be. I don't like the limelight. I just like to get things done. I learned to swim at the JCC when it was on Genesee Street. It's always been a part of my life. I can't imagine not having some tie to the JCC going forward. I may not be in a leadership position or on the board, but you know, it's in our community, and I'm in our community, and I can't see not being involved in some way. My kids came to the JCC. I want them to learn the same qualities, watching their mother and I participate on boards in leadership, in making the community a better place. The most fulfilling part of being a president of the JCC has been carrying the legacy forward of all of the presidents before me, creating a welcoming community space for our Jewish community and for others to come and eat and play sports and learn. I have been in a leadership position, not just at the JCC, at one point the Jewish Family Service, but as president of United Radio. I think back to the core values of United Radio that really all can be traced back to my grandfather, Jake. And the biggest one that comes to mind when I think about the JCC is that we have a responsibility to each other to build a better community. One of the things that I do in a non-JCC life is teach a course in leadership and what leadership looks like at United Radio. And I have an opportunity during one of our retreat days to actually talk about the concept of Tikkun Olam. And I had mentioned our core values, and this comes a lot from my grandfather and my upbringing, that we believe that all people have inherent value, and we believe that our differences make us stronger. So when you talk about some of the buzzwords in the world today, diversity, equity, and inclusion, if you believe that all people have inherent value, if you believe that our differences make us stronger, if you think the way I do, that I don't care what you are, I only care who you are, then we don't need the buzzwords, that the world will be a better place. And to me, Tikkun Olam is making the world a better place. The only real way to achieve Tikkun Olam is by fixing your own little corner of the world. So to that end, whatever I can do, whether it's at the JCC or anywhere else, to help better our community, then I'll do it. So the challenges of leading any organization, but particularly a Jewish organization, in these days and times are what goes on in the rest of the world. How do we respond to an October 7th? What do we do in Syracuse? How do we keep our communities safe, thriving, and growing? My hope for the Syracuse community is that it continues to thrive, more so that we figure out who it is we want to be. I've been here a long time. I've seen the community go through a lot of changes. I think that we spend a lot of time, unfortunately, in Syracuse trying to get back to what we used to be, instead of thinking about what we want to be. When we talk about it takes all of us, it takes all of us to recognize a problem, and it takes all of us to fix a problem. You know, I would encourage everyone to get involved at some level in whatever organization interests them. I mean, the amount of work that it takes, and we talk very often about time, treasure, and talent when it comes to serving on a board. And everyone really needs to give of all three. They may give more of one, less of another, and it could change over time. But if you've got the time, do the work. If you've got the treasure, give some away. What you get back is far greater than anything you ever give.
Cheryl Schotz is being inducted this afternoon into the Hall of Fame. Cheryl, I've admired you for so many years. I've watched you work a room like no one else can. You've been impressive to me as a leader coming up through the ranks. And I have to say that there's a quote that I use often, hopefully I haven't overused it, and that is that the place doesn't honor the person honors the place. Well, Cheryl, you've honored our Jewish community by the many titles that you've held, the many positions you have held within the Jewish Community Foundation of Central New York and the Syracuse Jewish Federation. You honor all of us, and in so doing, you honor the greater community, and it's why your picture needs to be up in this Hall of Fame. So thank you, Cheryl. Thank you for the privilege of working alongside you, of watching you all these years, and for your gift to the community. You've given so much, and now it's our time to say thank you.
I was lucky enough to come here with my terrific husband. We've been married now for almost 58 years. And he was a Syracusan, And so I was brought here, and I had never seen snow, ever. And in the first year up here, they had 200 inches of snow. And my father said, "Why were you exiled to Siberia?" But I fell in love with the city, and I got involved. And because there's a friendliness here that a lot of cities do not have, and a warmth, and I loved it. I became friends with Larry Roth, Larry and Marcia, but they're the ones that got Irv and I involved with the community. We went on a couples mission in '74, and it was so incredible. And after that, I just took off running and got involved. Larry and Marcia, they were just unbelievable. They just turned us around because Irv was not involved with the community. He grew up Orthodox, but is not Orthodox now. When he met Larry, that was it. It was like he's the Pied Piper, and he just connected us. We are a small community, but we're a strong community, and we have some dynamite people that are living here. I'm not from here, and I had a very small family, which none of them are here anymore. I feel connected to so many different people in the community because of my organizations. I've made some wonderful, wonderful friends, and that happens because you have a bond.
Several years ago, Cheryl established the Michelle Schotz Memorial Fund. And with that fund, she helps support From Caterpillar to Butterfly, which is a tutoring program of elementary school students at the JCC. We reap the benefits, and more importantly, tons of children are learning to read and benefiting from this program that Cheryl supports.
Unfortunately, we lost our daughter, Michelle, who was a teacher. She had her master's from Rutgers. She was a reading specialist. Reading was so important to her because she said if the kids can't read, they'll never survive in this world. So once she passed away, we wanted her name to live on. Thanks to Corinne and Marcy Erlbacher, they got this program running, Caterpillar to Butterfly. It's an endowment that we started to tutor children in reading. And this year, it's really grown. I'm so excited. They're doing it 2 days a week, and they have 8 students they're tutoring for reading. It does my heart so good. This endowment will live on and on and on. And I know it works because there was one of the parents came to me and said, "I have to tell you, my son could not survive in this world without this program. He now loves going to school. He couldn't read." I know she's up there smiling because this was so important to her. She was such a fabulous teacher.
I have known Ross Greenky since he was born, truly since he was born. They live down the street from us, and I've watched Ross grow and turn into this wonderful young man with now 3 children of his own, and a leader in the community, and a young leader in the community, and that is very special. I love picking the Leslie or suggesting the Leslie to the group because it has so much hope and life in it, which is what Leslie was. Leslie was one of those people who was bigger than life in that there was always excitement around what she did. And when you pick a new young leader of the community, when you're saying, see this person is going to be someone. They're going to be a future leader in the community. That was Ross. That's what I saw in Ross. He took his position on at a very difficult time. lots of tough decisions for the day school. And he's done a fabulous job. He just really has. He's been very level-headed, brought his expertise to the table, which was needed. And we really appreciate Ross Greenky for what he's going to give this community in the future.
If you had asked me when I went to college, would I be back in Syracuse, I would have laughed and said, there's no way. But then fast forward 7 or 8 years and it draws you back, and I've now been back for 12 years. And I can remember getting an email from Barbara Davis saying, hey, I know you're back in Syracuse. Would you be willing to serve on the Syracuse Hebrew Day School Board? And to me, it was never really a thought, mostly because I was so young at the time. I was in my late 20s, and to me, it was, I know I had went to the Syracuse Hebrew Day School, but I wasn't a parent. I wasn't the parent of an alumni, but it was still important for me to be a part of and try to help the school that shaped me in so many ways. This award is especially meaningful for me because I went to school with Jenna Newlander all the way through Syracuse Hebrew Day School. We actually went to Christian Brothers Academy for a year or two together and stayed friendly throughout. And so growing up with her, and actually her living close by, walking distance, it gave me the opportunity to also get to know Leslie as well and know how much of a great human being she was and how kind she was and her involvement in the community. And to receive the award knowing the meaning behind it is especially great and has a personal connection to me that I didn't expect, but certainly can't put into words how much it means going forward. I started with just serving as a board member, and then serving as the governance committee chair member, and then the vice president of the board, and now the president of the board. And at the same time, building a family, having 3 kids in that time frame, and then getting involved with Temple Addis and the Temple Addis community and the young family aspect of that. And in turn, getting involved with the JCC in different aspects, whether it's my kids going through ECDP or coming to holiday and community events there, and volunteering at those community events, and making sure that my kids have that same feeling of confidence and pride and desire to be at those events that I did growing up. The most rewarding aspect of volunteering, especially with respect to the Syracuse Hebrew Day School, has been seeing it continue to succeed and thrive. And I think in a lot of ways, the school, like a lot of other schools, had some periods where there were struggles. It might have been because of COVID, it might have been because of other factors, but being involved to make sure that my kids can still be there tomorrow and be a part of the school and graduate from there has been extremely important to me. And I think for me, seeing the school being guided to its current state with Mel Klemper doing a fabulous job of leading it today has been really rewarding. And it wasn't just all on me. That Becca Ressig before me did an incredible job of guiding the school through that period in a lot of tough times, and recognizing that without her, I wouldn't be able to continue to hopefully guide it on a path forward today. I've been president of the school. This is my 3rd year and final year. While it's the immediate end just of my presidency of the Hebrew Day School Board, I look at it as an opportunity to hopefully be involved, whether in small ways or big ways, with other organizations. I think the Jewish community is so important to me and my family. I want to make sure that we continue to be there however needed. I hope to continue to instill that in my kids going forward, knowing where I came from.